it's a very real risk going into that conversation with your parents that like they may walk and you could potentially lose your entire family. Like,
How was your experience meeting my parents for the first time now?
and then by the time I met them, it's about a 10-month window from like when you told them till when I met. A Labradoodle? No, he's not. He's
I'm
a
just talking about his color.
no, but he's a poodle and a Bernese, so he is a blended breed.
Up in pod.
I wanted to go for dinner, and you said let's order in Subway, and I said, hey,
Because that's what they want.
that's not the same thing. It's not the same
If we're
thing.
celebrating them.
It's the
that's
same
what
as
they
every Friday the kids get to pick like a treat to have ordered in for dinner because we don't want to cook, and it makes them happy. So
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blended.
One more time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blended. My name is Moin, and
Max.
this is Max, and this is a podcast all about couples and
Blending families.
blending families,
Blending interracial couples.
and different races.
Yep, that's the same thing as interracial.
Right. Okay.
All the blendings.
All the blendings. May you blend into our family.
Good one.
So, how was your week?
Good.
Great. Mine was good too.
Mostly just getting the kids wrapped up in school and the piles upon piles of paperwork that come home every day. Today's the last day. That's exciting.
Last day of school.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it you want to do for the kids?
So I always had a tradition with my family that we would go out for dinner and celebrate at, like, I grew up in Vancouver, and so we'd go to this one Italian restaurant called Chianti's. And it's a very fond childhood memory that me and my, like, excuse you. So it'd be me and like two of my friends and their parents were also like a group. We would all go out for dinner at the end of the school year to celebrate like having accomplished another year under our belts. And it's a very fond memory, and I want to do that for our kids. But you didn't do that and don't see the point. So
Right.
I do. So that's what we're going to do. Or at least ice cream or something. Just so they feel like they've accomplished something. It's worth like making a big deal out of, in my opinion.
Well, I grew up where there were no graduations.
It's not a graduation, it's just us celebrating their accomplishment.
Right, so there was no celebrations at the end of each grade. Our kids are in grade 1 and 2, by the way. So at the end of each grade, we'll get our report cards and we'll have our position in the class out of 30 people.
Really?
Yes.
You were ranked?
Yes, we were ranked.
Oh my god, that's intense. That doesn't happen here.
If you got a good position, that was good. If not, then there's nothing to celebrate.
I think
Pretty much.
Well, you brought up like a participation award, but I think that
It's a participation award.
I think that it's no matter if you're an A student or a C student, as long as you tried your best and you did the year, you still did the year. Right? It doesn't matter. It's like running a marathon. Whether you're first place or 100th place, you still ran a marathon. So it's still worth celebrating their effort.
So you're saying just because I didn't get the celebration doesn't mean our kids shouldn't?
Yes.
I think they can do that at like grade 4, 5.
Why? Why do they have to wait? They made the effort now.
Okay. So anyway, where are we gonna go then?
I don't know. I wanted to go for dinner, and you said let's order in Subway, and I said, hey,
because that's what they want.
That's not the same thing. It's not the same
if
thing.
We're celebrating them.
It's the same as every Friday the kids get to pick like a treat to have ordered in for dinner because we don't want to cook, and it makes them happy. So it would make it the same as every other Friday. That we need to make it different or special in some way. So our compromise was that we'll take them out for ice cream.
Yeah, they'll like ice cream.
You just want to go out for ice cream because you like ice cream.
No, I will not get ice cream.
Baloney.
And the kids will get ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm gonna get ice cream.
You're gonna get ice cream. Where are we gonna go? Marble slabs?
Yeah.
Or boba?
We'll let the kids decide between boba and marble slab. I'm good with either. What's your like number one thing about being done with school for the year? Are you most excited about? You already know mine.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Well, you don't have to drive to and from Burlington every day. Like, that's
All
a
right.
win.
Well, I don't have to drive to the school. Or the school is about 20, 30 minutes away.
It's 20.
20 to 25 based on construction and traffic.
Yes.
So yeah, that would be nice. And kids are home now most of the time, which can be a distraction. We're not doing summer camps
Not
this year.
It's the first time.
They're hecka expensive for 2 kids, especially.
It's like $2,000 for a month for 2 kids.
Yeah, so we're spending like about 4 or 5 grand, which in this economy is not.
And that's for like the bottom, like the
Yeah, it's not even for the good ones.
not province. What are we?
Ontario.
Municipality run.
Halton.
Yes, Halton
Halton.
region. The
Halton,
region.
Ontario, Canada.
City run. Oh my god, it took me a minute to get there. City run programs.
Right.
Which are fantastic. Like the resources in Oakville are like amazing, I find. Like the swimming lessons, any kind of like sport related. The schools are fantastic, like overall. But anyways, I digress. The point is, we didn't want to spend $4,000 to $5,000 on summer care when you and I are both working from home now.
Right.
So it'll be our first summer home with the kids. I've never done that before.
Yeah, it will be an adjustment. And
Yes.
we both have flexible schedules. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
But my number one thing I'm most excited about is I don't have to pack lunches.
Oh yeah, that's
hate-
a good one.
I hate packing lunches.
And I don't have to unpack lunches.
Yes. But I cannot describe how much I hate I don't know what it is about it, but I find it's so exhausting to pack lunches. Especially because Genevieve will love something and I'll buy it in bulk. She'll eat like 15 in a day. And then the minute I buy a bigger box, she's like, no, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
So by the end of the school year, there was like nothing she would eat. So that was really frustrating. But
Yeah, she did that with applesauce and
granola bar, like every type of granola bar, bear paws, applesauce, cheese strings, like literally every school snack, any kind of fruit and vegetable was all coming home.
yeah, it's happening a lot lately.
Yes.
I don't know what she's eating, but could be one of the things with applesauce is because they're growing up, they're like applesauce is for babies.
Yes, Genevieve did say somebody in her classroom had like teased her saying that applesauce because she likes those little like pouches, and it's like applesauce. Who cares? But I don't. Whatever. They were mean and said that.
Yeah.
Do you get like anxious about kids bullying our kids? Like I get really anxious about it.
No.
No. I just feel like they're so sensitive and innocent, and then somebody's gonna be mean.
You gotta get hardened for life.
No, they don't
The
have
adult
to.
world
No.
is tough, and they have to have some sort of.
They need resilience. They don't need to be tough. They don't need to like go through hardship. They just need like healthy adversity.
Hardship builds resilience.
Good, healthy parenting builds resilience.
Yes, that too. That's not the only thing, but we can't protect them from everything in the environment. Some things they have to face.
I can try.
Okay, you can try.
Anyways,
I got a haircut.
yes, you did. It looks very handsome.
Thank you. I usually don't do my beard, so I had it done, and so I had to put my neck up like this for like 10 minutes, and now I have a severe neck pain that goes up to my head, right up to my eye. So that's fun.
I think you slept funny. I don't think a few minutes for a haircut or whatever.
It definitely was, because like it was painful to keep my head like that. I was like, and now it's still here. Anyway,
You gonna make it?
I'll be fine.
Okay, I'm glad.
So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about meeting parents for their first time. And yeah, so
Let's start with my parents and your experience coming into a
right.
family.
Excuse me.
My parents are divorced, so there's like 2 sides to the family.
2 sets of parents.
Yeah. And then one of those
Or
sets
in-laws.
has, yes, in-laws. And then one of those, my dad's and his wife, my stepmom, she had 2 kids in the previous marriage as well. So I have 2
Right.
step siblings. So what was that experience? I think it was pretty easy.
Yeah, it was easy for us. Meeting families is a big deal. Like in our culture, if we're meeting somebody's parents, that means we're getting married, and
Which
pretty
is
much.
very different from my family's
Right.
experience. Whereas like if you're in a like committed relationship, you meet the family. It's not like we're like only if you're getting married then you meet the family. It's kind of like as soon as they're important to you, then they meet the family and they become integrated in that family dynamic.
But yeah, so we met your parents very early on. When was it? Like 3-4 months in, or something
No,
like that?
much later.
6 months.
6 to 8 months in.
This was also COVID, so
Yes, COVID did put a wrinkle in that.
otherwise it could have been earlier. Yeah, met your parents. It was fine. Nothing.
You're pretty laid back, like there's no red flags I would say there in terms of anything that would cause an issue. But I think it was like in the like preparation to meet my family, I couldn't understand why you were hesitant because culturally I had never like for me that was just like a normal thing.
Right.
It wasn't like a big huge like you're meeting somebody's family and that's a big step in and of itself, but not like marriage level big. And so you were hesitant about it and I remember feeling like hurt or some type of way about it at the time because I couldn't quite grasp where you were coming from and like your cultural side of things.
Right.
And then that just like completely compounded times 1,000 when it came to you telling your family about me, let alone even meeting them.
Right.
And like I like truly did not get it until you told your family, and I like watched it play out in real time. And like I had no concept and like very little empathy looking back on it for you. I was very upset and I took it very personally, which wasn't fair to you, and I feel terrible looking back, but I just like I couldn't fathom what it was that your hesitation was about.
Yes,
And how secure you would have had to have been in our relationship in order to take the step to tell them.
right. So it's very hard to explain, especially from like even when you explain it to somebody from a different culture, especially West, people say, "Oh yes, we get it," but they don't really get it because you haven't been brought up for 18, 20 years in that culture, and you don't know what the norms are like, what the society is like, what the implications are, and all that stuff.
I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was that like you make God happy and then your parents happy and then you happy, and that is the hierarchy of decision making that's expected of
Then
you.
make Odie happy.
And then Odie. But like that is like truly ingrained in the like hierarchy of decision making in terms of
Odie.
what's okay and what isn't.
Right.
And so I really like didn't have any way of comprehending that. What are you doing?
Wants to be in the podcast. He's also blended, black and white, as you can see.
Well, no, he's a Labradoodle. No, he's not. He's
I'm just talking about his color.
No, but he's a poodle and a Bernese, so he is a blended breed.
Up in pod.
What are you doing, sir? You're on our table.
He's like, "What are you guys doing? You never sit on the table and chat."
Oh no, he's all weirded out. Okay, focus. Off. Good boy.
That's a cool boy. So what were you saying? Was I saying something? Was you saying something?
Oh, just about like trying to explain to a Westerner about what that would look like,
Right.
or the challenge.
Very difficult, and it's honestly almost impossible for them to grasp, unless you go through it, and then they're like, So meeting your parents was fine. Who did I meet first? Your dad and
I honestly can't remember. Probably my mom and Alan.
your mom. Anyway, I can't remember either, but it was good. Everybody was nice and welcoming.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. If you go to events and stuff, it'll be odd because you'll be the only colored person.
Yeah, in like a
there.
sea of white people.
In a sea of white people.
Is that uncomfortable?
Sometimes.
Does it depend on the people, or is it just on your mood in the day, or the vibe?
I don't know if it's family and stuff. I think it's mostly fine. But if it's like a different event type of thing, then it'll probably feel odd, uncomfortable.
I remember recently I was like, oh, now I know what it feels like. Where were we when I said that?
Oh, at my friend's daughter's birthday party.
Yes, I walked in and I got many, many, many looks. Like I think there was like 100 people there minimum, and I feel like everyone's head swiveled the minute I walked in the room. And that was the first time I really feel like I could grasp what that might feel like to be in like a predominantly white environment and like a little uncomfy. But
Yeah.
everyone was really like lovely. It was nothing had happened that was uncomfortable. It was just you stand out.
Right. And I've definitely gotten better, like more used to, more comfortable with it now. But when I first came to Canada, it was difficult because when you're coming from another country and then like there's different reputations, you always fear what people think of your religion, your color. There's all that race stuff that goes on internally in your head.
Well, just look at like what happened in the media. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. And yeah, you're always on the like in a conversation, you're stepping in from like a back foot. Like you're always on defensive or trying to
Like assess the situation to see
assess the
yeah,
situation.
how things would be received.
Yeah, how things would be received.
It's just like an extra layer of like what's it like brain capacity, I don't know. Effort.
yeah.
Mental effort, I think is what I'm looking for. That would always be having to go in every social situation.
Right. And then a lot of people wouldn't understand like that if you do things differently back home. Over here there's like an adjustment period to the culture, like this big culture shock. Like I remember like we didn't used to have this was 2010 whatever, like debit or credit cards back home, like no tap or
really
like, insert to pay. So I was like at Walmart first time, and there's like go behind me. I was like, I don't know how to use the it was like a complete how do you say, fresh off the boat
experience.
Yeah. And then very nerve-wracking, and people get irritated. Obviously they don't know.
Well, like even if you look at like Tim Hortons or McDonald's, where typically a lot of like new immigrants will get those jobs once they've like landed in Canada. And then if you're a native speaking Canadian or whatever, the amount of frustration, like I even noticed it myself because they don't speak English like fluently at that point.
Yeah.
And you lose sight the inconvenience of trying to communicate with somebody who doesn't speak your native language. And then I noticed I was getting like frustrated, and I took a step back and like they are in like a front facing, high paced environment trying to speak in a completely different language. They've probably only been here for a few months, and how stressful that must be in that position. And ever since, like, it didn't click for me for so long, which I'm ashamed to admit. But ever since then, I try and like really make a concerted effort to be so patient with anyone who's like new to Canada, working in customer service based jobs, and just like have that like extra layer of patience for them. Because I can't imagine being in that position. Like if I went to Pakistan, got a job at like a food place, and didn't know Urdu or the language at all.
You wouldn't get a job then.
Well, why? Because I don't speak Urdu?
No, because you one, people will speak English.
Oh, right.
And
Because nobody in Canada speaks other languages for the most part.
no, you guys speak French. Plus, you wouldn't need to work. If you would work, it would be some other thing. Typically, people don't go off and or people
Okay, but
don't go off and work in food places.
For the purpose of an analogy,
Yeah.
if I went to another country where it wasn't my native language, okay, that's really loud. It would be Bodhi, can you chill? It'd be stressful and a really tough position to be in. So, anyways, empathy first is my point of my rant here.
Language, people, if they're coming, they should be expected to speak the language because those are the tests you go through.
Eventually, but not right away.
Right away. But it's the accents part that
Yeah.
takes time for them and for people locally here. Anyway, what were we talking about? So I met your parents for the first time.
Yep.
And then when did you meet my parents for the first time?
Well, I think we should start with you telling them about my existence, because we had moved in together prior to you even letting them know about me. But which I really didn't. We good?
Yeah.
Stop throwing the ball for him.
I didn't. He's going nuts. There's a little cuckoo in the hair.
Okay, we're gonna put this away now. Thank you. Yuck.
Ugh, slobber.
Yeah. What are we talking? Oh yeah. So I was like very frustrated by the whole thing, and I definitely put pressure on you to tell them. However, having seen like the aftermath of you telling them, I think it came down to like you needing to be 110% secure in our relationship so that you can't be deterred or influenced by family in regards to how to move forward with our relationship. Would you say that's accurate?
That is accurate. Correct.
Okay. So what was that whole experience like for you telling them? I mean, it must have been pretty scary.
Yeah, pretty scary. Not because, well, pretty scary, and because this had happened before.
Right.
Right. So I had previous marriage, again, different culture. Ended up getting separated and divorced eventually, but we have an amicable relationship, and that's where my first daughter is from. So anyway, even dealing with the aftermath of that, like they would say, like, you know, we told you so, like don't do it, and look at what happened, blah blah blah. Kind of being like, oh, we're sorry.
Yeah, not a lot of empathy and just a lot of I told you so's.
Yeah, just a lot of I told you so's, and yeah. So in their head, like, okay, he made his mistake, and now he's not gonna do it again. Where in my head, it's like, well, I'm still gonna see or marry the person I want to marry, regardless of race and religion and whatnot. And anyway, so
But that's a very brave thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Like that's a very, very brave thing for you to do, and you had to be very secure in who you are and what you wanted and your values, and like that's amazing.
Thank you.
Side note.
Thank you. Yes. So especially hard if you're coming from a Muslim background and very conservative and all that. So even harder to break the chain, as they say. So yeah, it's definitely the black sheep of the family. Done things differently.
I'm just gonna guide the conversation here a little bit.
Yes, you got it.
So for their reaction to you, just from an outside perspective, observing the whole thing unfold, I think it's also nuanced and layered in terms of how they react to you, because not only do they have their own emotional reaction, you're particularly from a very like religious perspective of like being concerned for your soul for eternity and like that whole component, but I also feel that there's likely a pretty big social component of like how are they going to explain to their friends, family, social circle that their son has strayed from the path that they've set for you and married a Western woman who is not Muslim. And like I think that there's a lot of societal pressure on your parents as well, and they definitely felt that in terms of
Right, correct. So they have their own stuff that they have to deal with in telling and whatnot. And then I guess it's a matter of like when someone does something outside of the cultural norms or outside the religion, like it could be like a thing of shame for them or losing
100%.
respect in the neighborhood and all that stuff. So it's a pretty big deal, and that also adds into why I took my time telling them and being secure in our relationship and all that stuff. And so
I know I told you that in the past, like once this had all played out, but I I really respect that, like despite my like pressure that I had applied, which wasn't right, but I didn't know any better at the time, to be fair. But like you stayed true to the course of action that you knew was best for you and us and our family and your family, and like you stayed the course and like you had faith in your own like guidance of like how this should all play out in the best timing and all of those things, and internally where you needed to be at in order to be able to cope with the situation. And I like it's a wonderful thing that you're able to do that too.
yes, correct.
So if you're the white person in the relationship, just as a disclaimer, I highly recommend putting your own ego or feelings aside. Don't take it personally, because for the longest time I felt like you weren't telling your family because of something with me. Like you didn't love me enough, or I wasn't important enough, or you weren't committed to our future, or whatever, this whole narrative going on in my head. But I wasn't able to take myself out of that equation. And also I didn't recognize the fact that like I didn't understand the dynamics and the family dynamics that you had and the societal ones. And like, I truly had no concept. And I made it about me when really I should have supported you through that whole experience more than I did. So I think that that's an important thing to recognize if you're particularly in like a Western and then a Muslim partnership.
Right.
I think that that's a really, really important thing because truly, like, we can't fathom the like complexity and how different those two like upbringings would be.
Right. And then, like, it's almost like, when you're getting ready to tell your parents you're preparing in your head to basically lose your parents.
Yes.
So
It's a very real risk.
it's a very real risk. So you have to have to be stable and secure enough in your relationship to be like, okay, this is where I stand. I understand where you guys are coming from, and I understand whatever decision you guys are gonna make based on what I am doing.
It's a very real risk going into that conversation with your parents that like they may walk and you could potentially lose your entire family. Like it's I can't imagine how that would feel.
Right. So yeah, told my parents. They went through their, let's say,
It was about almost a year of them wrapping their heads around it.
a year.
Yeah, so we told them September, like a year before we got married. It was 9 months before we got married.
Right.
And then by the time I met them, it was so it's about a 10-month window from like when you told them till when I met your
Right.
mom and sister.
10 months. So yeah, how was your experience meeting my parents for the first time now?
So I met your brother first. Someone has a twin brother.
Right.
So much earlier in the relationship, I met him.
Hmm.
Um, he was always lovely. Never felt any kind of like pressure or judgment. I was obviously scared shitless and very nervous. I wanted to make a good impression, and I didn't want to disrupt anything or cause any friction or waves. So that went really well. And he was wonderful with my daughter. Like everything with that meeting several times was great. Um, your family chose not to attend our wedding,
Right.
which was a hard one for me. I was really sad that you wouldn't have family there.
My younger brother was there
Yes,
from Amsterdam,
he was able to come
and
and
he was also very supportive throughout.
very supportive. Um, he's very much like you in his thinking. And he was,
Similar, so
yeah,
not exactly.
similar.
Yeah.
Um, and so I met him as well. And then after the wedding, conversations started about us having a nikah. And then I think that that meant a lot to your family. And so we kind of got some momentum there. And so the first time I met your mom and sister, because they were in Canada, were at our nikah. So we did the nikah, we had a meal with them, and that went really well. Your sister was very welcoming, talked like very openly with me. Your mom and I obviously have the language barrier, but she also was quite warm towards me and welcoming. And then we met. So that was it. Was very like I was really really nervous that day. So I was very quiet, which is not my normal self. I am loud, but so that went well, and the car was lovely and wonderful. And then we met them again right before they went back to Pakistan, and we went out for a meal together, and that was like fantastic. But your sister and mom had met Genevieve several times before they met me. You had brought her
All right.
to
Yeah, I
the
had brought
house.
them over with
Yeah,
Amnesia and for them to hang out
I'm
and
just
play
remembering
around.
that now. But they were always like super, super lovely to Genevieve. And that like meant the world to me as well. And so then when we went for that final meal together, your mom gifted me one of her gold rings, which was like a beautiful moment. I felt truly honored that she did that. And your mom and I think, quite bonded that day. I don't know if that's the right words, but you know what I mean. I felt
It's quite bonded.
quite bonded. Um, I think that that was really like such a lovely and generous thing for her to do, and it really made me feel like I was a part of the family. And your sister and I got on from the first time we met and continued. And then once they returned, we chatted over WhatsApp and stuff like that. Um, and so everything has gone very well. Like I feel very much a part of the family. I've only met your dad via FaceTime
Right.
so far, but we're going to Pakistan in November, so I'll get to meet him in person and spend more time with family and see where you grew up. And I'm very excited about all of that.
Yeah, and I could tell after like we had that dinner with my mom, you were very happy, and then my mom was really happy, and she had like the biggest smile on her face. So that was a wholesome moment.
It was.
And then my sister kids were there, and all our kids played and stuff together.
Yeah.
It was nice. We went for ice cream afterwards, and yeah, and my mom and my sister and her kids, they live in Pakistan. My brother lives here, so they went back home. And yeah, we're planning on going to Pakistan in November. You for the first time. Genevieve has never been on an airplane, and Amnisha's been there before once, so it'll be a nice trip. We're going for one of my best friend's wedding, so
yeah, it'll be wonderful. So the amazing part of it being your best friend's wedding is that all of our friend group will also be there at the same time. So we'll all get to kind of experience Pakistan together. I'm really excited about that part too. I think it'll be really cool to have like our core group all together for that.
yes, very good, very good. Okay, what else are we talking about today? So we did meeting parents for their first time, and we touch on all the important.
I feel like we did a good job. We covered
fairly good job. If somebody wants some more information, they'll comment to us.
I'm sure we'll also probably revisit this topic. It's just kind of our first run through.
Yeah, this is our first run through of it, and yeah, and then next week we're gonna go over some exciting news that's coming up for us. If you're watching on YouTube, you will notice Max's clothing is a bit odd. So it's
don't make fun of my fit.
It's related to that. Yeah, anything else you want to say?
No, I think this is a good one. I think it's a good sneak peek into what this kind of relationship dynamic might look like for a lot of people.
Yeah, we're going into a long weekend. It's going to be Canada Day on Monday. It's Friday today.
Very excited for long
happy
weekend.
Canada Day and happy 4th of July.
Oh yeah,
that's also coming. And then the 5th of July is my birthday. I'm turning the big 3-3.
Yes.
Crazy.
That's wild. I literally forgot I was 32. For like Sally had to do the math in the car the other day.
Yeah, it's a very confusing time. You forget what is 31, 32, 33.
It all kind of blends together.
It blends together.
But it's good years. I'm really like, I think my 30s so far, I've been like, in my early 30s have been like the best years of my life so far.
Me too.
I really have enjoyed this time.
Yeah. Me too. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. If you're still watching, and
hopefully we didn't bore anybody.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Welcome to the blended family. Good?
Good.
Boom.
Look at Booty.
Did it again.
Another one done, babes.
Another one.
Another one.
May you blend into our family.